My name is Emily. I am 29 years old. I live in Chicago. I work in a coffee shop near the train station. I love my job. I enjoy talking to people. I like making coffee and sweet things. I met my husband David at the shop. He came there every morning. He always ordered the same drink. One day, he said hello. Then he smiled. After that, we started talking. He was kind. He made me laugh. I liked him. After a few weeks, he asked for my number. We sent messages. Then we went out for dinner. We had fun together. I felt happy with him. After 6 months, he asked me to meet his parents. I felt a little nervous, but I said yes. He took me to their house. It was in a quiet part of the city. His mom's name is Linda. His dad's name is Mark. They looked at me with cold eyes. They did not smile. I said hello. I brought them a small cake from my shop. Linda took it but said nothing. I tried to talk. I asked questions, but they gave short answers. I felt like I was not welcome. When we left, I asked David, "Do they like me?" He said, "They are just shy." I wanted to believe him. After 2 more months, we got married. We had a small wedding. My parents were happy. My friends came too. But David's parents looked bored. They did not smile in the photos. They did not hug me. They just stood in the back. I told myself, maybe they will change. Maybe they need time. After the wedding, we moved in with them. David said we would stay there for a short time. We wanted to save money. At first, I thought it would be okay. But it was not. I felt like a stranger in the house. Linda did not talk to me. Mark only said a few words. When I made breakfast, Linda would make her own later. When I cleaned, she said I missed a spot. When I asked if she needed help, she said no. She always looked upset. One day, I heard her talking on the phone. She was in the kitchen. She did not see me. She said, "I don't know why David married that girl. She is not good enough. She works in a coffee shop." My hand shook. I walked away. I wanted to cry. That night I told David. I said, "Your mom does not like me." He said, "You are wrong. She just needs time." I said, "I heard her. She said I'm not good enough." He looked tired. He did not say much. He just said, "Try to stay calm." Many days passed. Nothing changed. I cleaned the house. I cooked dinner. I helped with laundry. But Linda never said thank you. She never smiled at me. Mark stayed quiet too. I felt alone. I missed my old home. I missed my mom and dad. I missed my small room and my bed. One Sunday, my parents came to visit. They brought flowers and cake. They were excited to see me, but Linda did not greet them. She stayed in her room. Mark said hello and left. My parents looked confused. I felt shame. I did not know what to say. After they left, I asked David, "Why are your parents so cold?" He said, "Please don't make it a big deal." But it was a big deal to me. One day, I got sick. I had a fever. My head hurt. My body felt weak. I stayed in bed. Linda came in. She looked at me. She said, "Are you sick or just lazy?" I said, "I have a fever." She walked out. She did not bring medicine or food. David came home in the evening. He gave me soup and water. He touched my head and said, "You are hot. You need rest." I felt better with him, but he stayed only a short time. Then he went to eat with his parents. After 2 days, I got up again. I started doing the housework. No one said, "Glad you feel better." No one asked, "How are you now?" I felt like I was nothing in that house. One night I heard them talking. Linda said, "She does not belong here. She is not from our world." Mark said, "She is not what we hoped for." I stood by the door. I held my breath. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. The next morning, I talked to David again. I said, "Your parents do not like me. They talk about me behind my back." He said, "Please stop. You always complain. Just ignore them." I looked at him. "You are my husband, but you don't support me." He said nothing. He walked away. I sat on the bed and cried. One evening, I made dinner for everyone. I cooked chicken and rice. I made a salad too. I cleaned the table. I waited for them. When they came, Linda looked at the food. She said, "This again?" Mark did not say a word. They ate fast and left. I sat alone. I looked at my plate. My hands felt cold. My eyes were full of tears. That night I went to bed early. I held my pillow. I thought about leaving. I thought about my old life. I used to smile. I used to laugh. I used to feel safe. But now I felt tired. I felt small. I felt lost. Every day, I waited for something to change. I waited for kindness. I waited for love. But nothing changed. Not from them. Not even from David. He came home late. He talked less. He did not ask how I felt. He just said he was tired. I started to feel invisible. One afternoon, I went to the store alone. I bought milk, eggs, and bread. At the counter, the woman smiled at me. She said, "You look sad. Are you okay?" I nodded, but inside, I wanted to cry. A stranger saw my pain, but my family did not. When I came home, I sat in the kitchen. Linda looked at the bags. She said, "You forgot the coffee." I said, "I will get it tomorrow." She rolled her eyes and walked away. That night I could not sleep. I turned to David. I said, "I can't do this anymore." He asked, "What do you mean?" I said, "I can't live like this. I feel like I'm not part of your family. I feel like I don't matter." He looked at me. He said, "This is just how they are. Why can't you understand that?" I said, "Why can't you understand me?" He did not answer. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next morning, I woke up early. I made coffee and toast. David sat at the table. He looked at his phone. I placed his cup in front of him. He said nothing. He just kept reading. I sat across from him. I wanted to talk, but I didn't know how. My heart felt heavy. After breakfast, he left for work. I stayed home. I cleaned the rooms. I washed the dishes. I folded the laundry. I did everything. Still, Linda did not speak to me. Mark only said thanks once when I picked up his mail. I tried to be strong, but I was tired of feeling like a ghost. I started to write in a small notebook. I wrote about my feelings. I wrote about how I missed my mom. I wrote about how I missed being happy. It helped me a little. At least the notebook listened. That weekend, I asked David if we could visit my parents. He said, "I'm busy. Maybe next time." I felt sad. I missed them. I wanted to see my mom. I wanted her hug. So I went alone. I took the bus and a small gift. My parents were happy to see me. My mom made tea. My dad smiled and said, "You look tired." I said, "I'm fine." But I was not. I stayed for 2 hours. Then I went back to David's house. When I came in, Linda looked angry. She asked, "Where were you?" I said, "I visited my mom." She said, "You should have asked me first. This is not your parents' house now." I stood still. I didn't know what to say. I just walked to my room. That night, I cried. I felt trapped. This was not how marriage should feel. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted to feel loved. One day, David came home early. I was in the kitchen. I was making pasta. He walked in and said, "Mom is upset. She said you don't respect her." I stopped cooking. "What?" "I do everything for her." He said, "She said you talk back. She said you act proud." I looked at him. "That's not true. I try every day." He said, "You should try harder." I felt angry. "I clean this house. I cook your food. I help everyone. But no one helps me. No one says thank you. He looked away. You knew my parents before we married. You knew what they are like. I said, I didn't know they would hate me. After dinner, I sat alone. I thought about the past, about our first date, about how sweet David was. I missed that man, the one who made me smile. Now he didn't even look at me the same way. Weeks passed. I kept working in the house. I went to my job part-time. I smiled at customers, but my heart was not happy. At home, Linda watched everything I did. She told me how to fold towels. She told me I should wear different clothes. Once she said my laugh was too loud. I stopped laughing. Mark was quiet, but I saw his eyes. He looked at me like I didn't belong. He never asked about my day. He never asked how I felt. I started to feel like a maid, not a wife. One morning, I woke up feeling weak. I was dizzy. I could not stand for long. I called my manager and said I needed a day off. I stayed in bed. Linda came in. She said, "Are you sick again?" "You look fine." I said, "I just need rest." She shook her head and left. David came home that night. He asked how I was. I said, "I don't feel good." He said, "You look okay to me." I stayed quiet. I felt like no one cared. That week I missed my period. I took a test. It was positive. I was going to have a baby. I stared at the test in my hand. I sat on the bathroom floor. My hand shook. I did not know what to feel. Happy? Scared? Alone? That night I told David. I said, "I'm pregnant." He looked surprised. Then he smiled a little. "Wow, that's big news." I waited for a hug. He just sat there. He said, "We should tell my parents." I was not ready for that. We told them the next morning. Linda didn't smile. She said, "It's too soon. You should have waited." Mark said, "You both need to think about money now." That was it. No joy. No hug. Just cold words. I felt like crying again. But I stayed strong. I said nothing. In the following weeks, my body changed. I felt tired all the time. I needed help, but no one offered. I still cleaned. I still cooked. I still smiled when I didn't want to. My mom came one day. She brought soup and warm socks. She rubbed my back. She said, "You are strong." I cried in her arms. I told her everything. She listened. Then she said, "You don't have to stay if it hurts you." I thought about her words. What if I left? What if I found a small place for myself? What if I raised my baby in peace? That night, I told David, "I need to move out. Just for a while. I need space." He looked shocked. "Why?" "This is our home." I said, "It's not my home. I don't feel safe here." He said, "My parents will be upset." I said, "What about me? I'm already hurt." He didn't answer. I packed my bag the next morning. I went to my parents' house. They welcomed me. My mom made my bed. My dad smiled and said, "You are always welcome here." I started to sleep better. I ate well. I felt lighter. David sent messages. He said, "Please come back." I said, "I need time." One day, Linda called. I picked up the phone. She said, "You left without a word." I said, "I needed peace." She said, "You are weak." I said, "No. I am strong enough to leave." After that, she did not call again. David came to visit. He brought flowers. He said, "I'm sorry." I said, "I love you, but I need your support." He said, "I will try." I looked at him. I said, "Try is not enough. I need to feel safe. I need to feel loved." He left. I didn't know what he would do next. But for now, I was home. I was safe. I had my baby inside me. I was not alone. I stayed at my parents' home for 3 weeks. My mom took care of me. She cooked for me. She gave me warm tea. My dad read the news and told small jokes. For the first time in months, I smiled without feeling pain. Each day, I waited for a message from David. Some days he texted. He asked, "How are you?" Or, "Did you eat today?" I replied, but my answers were short. He never asked to meet. He never said he missed me. I started to wonder what he really felt. One morning, I looked at my phone. There were no messages. I put it down. I touched my stomach. I whispered, "I love you. You are safe here." I felt calm when I talked to my baby. That weekend, my friend Jessica came to visit. She brought cookies and a big smile. We sat in my room. She said, "You look better." I told her everything. She listened. Then she said, "You did the right thing. You chose peace." I nodded. I was still scared, but I felt stronger. A few days later, David called. He said, "Can we talk?" I said, "Okay." He came that evening. He looked tired. He sat across from me at the table. He said, "I miss you." I looked at him. I said, "I don't believe that." He was quiet. Then he said, "I didn't protect you. I let them treat you badly." I said, "Yes, you did." He said, "I talked to them. I told them to respect you. I told them you are my wife." I looked into his eyes. "And what did they say?" He said, "They were angry, but I don't care anymore. I care about you and our baby." I started to cry. My hands shook. "Do you really mean it?" I asked. He nodded. "I want to find a small place, just for us. A new start." I said, "I won't go back to that house." He said, "You won't have to." 2 weeks later, we moved into a small apartment. It had 2 rooms and big windows. The kitchen was small, but it felt like home. I placed flowers on the table. I smiled. David helped with the bags. He made me tea. He said, "This is our place now." I believed him. The days passed. My baby bump grew. David cooked breakfast on Sundays. We took short walks in the park. We talked more. We laughed a little. Slowly, the pain started to fade. One day, Linda called. David picked up. She said, "Why did you leave us?" I heard him say, "Because we needed peace." She said, "You should come back." David said, "We are happy here. Please respect our choice." Then he hung up. He looked at me. I asked, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yes. I just hope they stop now." I said, "Me too." My mom visited. She brought soup and baby clothes. She looked around the apartment. She smiled. "This is nice," she said. I said, "It feels good here." She hugged me. "You are brave," she said. I held back tears. I said, "I want to be strong for my child." Soon the baby came. It was a girl. Her name is Grace. She was small and beautiful. I held her in my arms. I kissed her soft cheek. David stood beside me. He looked at her and said, "She is perfect." At the hospital, Linda came. She brought flowers. She said, "She looks like David." I smiled politely. She looked at me. She said, "I was wrong." I was surprised. I didn't speak. She said, "You are a good mother." I looked down at my baby. I said, "Thank you." Mark did not come. He sent a card. It said, "Congrats." That was all. I didn't feel sad. I just felt free. At home, David held the baby often. He made bottles. He changed diapers. He looked tired but happy. I sat on the sofa and watched them. I felt warm inside. Life was not perfect. We still had problems. We didn't have much money. We worked hard. We argued sometimes. But we were a team. We were learning to love again. One evening, I looked at David. I said, "Thank you for choosing me." He smiled and said, "I didn't choose you. I was lucky you chose me." I laughed softly. "Let's raise Grace with love," I said. He nodded. "Always." Now Grace is 3 months old. She cries, she laughs, she keeps us awake. But she is the light of my life. I still remember the pain. I still remember the house where I felt small. But now I feel strong. I feel loved. Sometimes I talk to young women at the shop. They tell me about hard homes. I listen. I say, "You are not alone. Be brave. You can find peace." I don't know if Linda will ever change, but I changed. I stopped waiting for love from people who don't care. I started giving love to myself, to my daughter, to my new life. This is my story. I hope it helps someone. I hope it gives hope. Thank you for listening.